what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Got a buildup of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place.
You know, if you want this song to go away, if this is a terrible song and you want it to go away, then you should be on your knees every single night before you lay your head on your cold pillow, and you should pray to the maroon and gold God above, that the fat guy from Minnesota wins, actually has a winning week. Because if Greg the Gold doesn't appear, it's going to be Greg the Cold. So if you don't like the music, if you don't like the song, I got to change it up. And I'm not going to change it up with you Einsteins not praying for me. And another thing, you Einsteins, once again, you come out of week 0 with the same record that I have. 1-2. 1-2, 1-2. I don't get to wear the gold. I don't get to wear my new ensemble that the little general got for me because I went 1-2. Kansas State went belly up for me. Iowa State wins 24-21. Kansas Jayhawks. Boy, they looked impressive. And I'm not just talking about Jalon Daniels or high shot. And we're going to talk more about Jalon Daniels a little bit later. But the line of scrimmage. The Jayhawks had the advantage at the line of scrimmage right off the bat, right when the game started. If Kansas can stay even or have a little bit of an advantage on the line of scrimmage in Big 12 play, well, they are going to be battling to get to the Big 12 championship game. That nose tackle. Holy smokes. Anyways, we are live. Welcome. I got another question. Vox, I got a question for you. The architect. Don Scruggs. Everybody else, I got a question. Is there a word? Is loserdom a word like kingdom, but loserdom? LOSERDOM? Is that a word? If it's not a word, I'm going to make it a word. No, it's not a word. Okay, well, it should be. It should be. I texted my good close friends of mine. Sometimes you see them in the chat room. Jeff Olson, Terry Nord, Daniel. I texted them last night, when it looked like there was a very good chance I was going to go 0-3. I went 1-2. You Einsteins went 1-2. I got the Hawaii game correct. You all got the Kansas game correct. But as I was barreling down the road to possibly going 0-3, I texted out to my friends, my loserdom is unmeasurable. That's how extreme my loserdom is. It still should be a word. It's got to be a word. We got to figure out how to petition. Who do we petition? Loserdom has to be a word. And if they need an example of what loserdom is, just point them in my direction. Re-elected mayor of Loserville City once again. We are live. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you love everything in college football, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to donate to this channel. Support this rebel outpost with a donation. Hit that $sign where you make your comments, and I'll get to you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Speaking of super chats, Heartbreak 25 leads us in for today. The Big 12's bid for 2 playoff teams may have took a hit. The SEC PN narrative plus low pro season rankings hurt the conference. Iowa State has to beat Iowa. I don't really think it took a hit. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Everything being even, if you wanted to make sure the Big 12 had the best chance to get 2 teams in, you would want Kansas State to win. But again, it's just one game. Kansas looked impressive. That's going to help Kansas and the Big 12. Kansas looked very impressive. Very impressive. We're going to go through that game. And again, as I covered, thank you, Heartbreak25. Thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much. Again, I did an episode earlier today. Episode 458. The college football updated FPI ranking index, whatever you want to call it. Texas number 1, Georgia number 2, Alabama number 3, the Buckeyes 4, Penn State 5, Notre Dame 5, and Iowa 6, Oregon 7, Tennessee 8. Tennessee is 8 in the football power index. Texas A&M is 9, Ole Miss is 10. God. South Carolina 11, LSU 12, Florida 13. Look at USC 14. Those big high recruiting rankings. Woo! Michigan 15, Clemson 16, Miami 17. The first ACC team that pops up is number 16. 16, 17, and 18 ACC country. SMU at 18. Then we're back to SEC, Oklahoma and Auburn 19 and 20. And there is Kansas State at 21. BYU at 22. Missouri sandwiched in between some Big 12 schools. Missouri at 23. Arizona State 24. Kansas at 25. Now, this is the updated FPI. Updated FPI. I know, it's not a ranking, nor should it be a ranking. It's just a metric. I would not take it that seriously. The problem is, ESPN takes it seriously. The problem is, Greg Sankey takes it seriously. The problem is that this is going to be used with the College Football Playoff Selection Committee to be looking at who's going to be the at-large bids in the 2025 playoffs and possibly the 2026-27, because you all love the 5+11, the 5+19, the 5+39, whatever it goes to. That's the problem with this, right? This is a part of the story, the part of the narrative this morning. You know what's not part of the narrative, the part of the storyline, is that Iowa State is 1-0 in the Big 12 race. Iowa State won a road game. Remember, that wasn't the Cyclones' home game on their schedule. Iowa State has a tie-breaking advantage over Kansas State in the Big 12 conference race. But again, we're not talking about the Big 12 conference race, are we? We don't talk about conference races unless it only happens at the very end of the season and who's going to go to the championship game. I went over this on episode 458. You can take a look. I like Reese Davis. I think Reese Davis does an excellent job. Reese Davis follows me on X. He has for a long time. He probably doesn't anymore. But, pregame, and again, I literally only watched about 90 seconds of pregame. And it was the point where Reese Davis looks directly into the camera and says, "It's absurd It's absurd that Tony Petitti, the Big Ten 24 and 28 model, AQ models for the playoffs. It's absurd. He was pissed. Reese Davis was very upset. Then in the very next sentence, he goes on to say, well, but it's going to get a lot more complicated for the committee to go over these 9-3 records because the SEC is going to 9 conference games. What's absurd, ESPN? What is absurd is an FPI power index that sucks up the narrative after week 0 football games. Okay, I'm off of that. I'm off of that kick. We got a lot to get to. Let's go do the roll call, and then we're going to be talking about the impressive game by the Kansas Jayhawks. Iowa State goes 1-0 in the Big 12 and defeats the Kansas State Wildcats. And then, thank goodness, thank you, Hawaii. Thank you, Aliado, the quarterback, playing on one leg. The Rainbow Warriors come back and they win 23-20 on a game-winning field goal. Thank you. Because you stopped the destruction of the fat guy from Minnesota. You made it so I did not go 0-3 to begin this season. Thank you, Hawaii. We'll talk about that. Are the Rainbow Warriors going to get to a bowl game? Can Kansas State get back in the Big 12 race? Can Iowa State keep the momentum all the way through Cyhawk game and get on a roll and get back to the Big 12 championship game? And can the Kansas Jayhawks? Again, we're gonna hit this real quick here, but come on, guys, we got to talk about it now. Look where I've got Kansas. I've got them number 10. I've got the Kansas Jayhawks number 10. Now, I know Fresno State, first-year head coach, a very good head coach for the North Dakota State Bison. But it was an impressive victory because it was everything. It was everything. A strong running, a really good running game. Jalon Daniels took off when he had to. He made the Fresno State Bulldogs defense very uncomfortable. The wide receiver transferred from Alabama, he looked pretty good. He's going to get there. He's going to get there. The nose tackle from Kansas, holy smokes. Leipold, that team was ready. They were ready going into their new renovated stadium. The Kansas Jayhawks were prepared and they were ready. They were ready. Now the question is, and for whatever reason I cannot find it. Here we go. I mean, Jalon Daniels might have to, if you look at his game, and we're going to look at it in a moment here, I don't know, he might be knocking on the door of the top 6, the PATC Heisman Watch, heading into week 1. This week, I'm going to be producing the updated PATC Heisman Watch. Does Jalon Daniels sneak in here? Now, the problem is none of the top 6 candidates have played. So we might not see any movement on that. We're probably not going to see any movement on that list. But Jalon Daniels, I got my eye on you. And then the hot seat list going into week 0. Joey McGuire and James Franklin are going to go off the hot list. I said that when I first introduced this. They were basically put on there to send a message to say, look, they're under a lot of pressure. They're not on the hot seat, but they're under a lot of pressure. They're going to get replaced. McGuire and Franklin are going to be replaced. Now, is Kleinman going to go on this list? No. He's not. His seat's not warm at all. None. No. So I don't think anything that happened. Dan Mullen's name is not going to be 38-31. UNLV just gets by Idaho State. So there's going to be a new number 5, a new number 6 going into week 1, and we will update that this week as well. So Ryan Thomas is in the house. Rodney Richborg, the reigning, defending, undisputed World Trivia College Football Champion, is in the house. Bo Weevil is here. Mr. Monkey says, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk. Ryan Brooks, go Tigers. The dog is here. Morris Simmons, hello everyone. Gold Nose 2027 Big Ten Movie Time Blues. Tumasta is in the house. Vox Quindaro. Good morning, fellow cultists. The ceremonial Jayhawk robes are being fast-tracked and should be delivered before Friday. Congratulations, Vox. That was impressive. And I don't even think it had anything to do with me being an albatross around the Bulldogs' neck. That was all Kansas Jayhawks. They looked pretty good. They were prepared. They did not have... There was some holding calls. The Jayhawks offensive line, a lot of this, they got some holding calls, but really no pre-snap penalties, no special... I didn't see any preparation issues for Kansas. They were prepared. The architect is in the house. The Almighty is in the house. Go Black 45. Chris Kinney. Loserville. Stormy Cyclone. Greg, I still believe in you, but seriously, how long does it take to defrost the freezer? I don't know. I really don't know. Go Black 45 is in the house. B Bean is here. Taytown Hawk is in the house. L Woody. Cal Bears GR8 is here. Wet Blanket. K Newman. Everybody hates the music, but I got to win. If I don't win, you're going to hear the music. If I don't win, you are going to hear the music. BYU football is in the house. Jay Chapman is here. Talking Comics. What an opener to the season. I'm extremely ready for more after the great games yesterday. Absolutely. Talking Comics. You're absolutely correct. I agree with you. Bimba 75, 79 is in the house. Woof Woof Doggo is here. MBM. I know it's not good. I know it's not good. I know. But you Einsteins were 1 and 2 as well. So keep that in mind. Okay. Cobra Cat. Super Chat. Iowa's defensive line will breach the Iowa State porous offensive line, crumpling Rocco Beck like the boneless legs of a box marionette puppet left in a mice-infested storage. Holy smokes. Now, I will say this. Iowa State's offensive line had trouble with Kansas State when it comes to pass protection in that first half. Somewhat in the second half as well. But Rocco Beck, as we said pregame of our watch party, he's no statue back there. He can create time in the pocket. He can run a little bit. However, the second half, Iowa State Cyclones offensive line on the running game was vastly improved. They figured something out in that second half. They were pushing the Wildcats D-line, the linebackers. When Carson Hansen finally got his run with the ball in the second half, the Cyclones offensive line were moving people. So it was first half, not all that good for the O-line. Second half, a whole lot better. But Jacob Cat says the hot guys are going to be given the boneless legs of Rocco Beck a very difficult time. We shall see. Thank you, Jacob Cat. Thank you so much for the $5 holla. I do appreciate it so very much. Kay Nguyen is in the house. Steve McNeely is here. The Highland Homestead. Kansas could have scored 50. I agree. They were very sharp. Very sharp. In my opinion. Zero Wiz, 4-2 last night, Greg. Good birthday and go Tigers. Go green as well, the Detroit Tigers. And the Michigan State Spartans. Thank you for coming on in. Zero Wiz, Bob Swanger. Bob Swanger is here. C. John is here. AMAC, my prof. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. Yeah, there was a little bit of a tussle. Yeah, brutal day for my Wildcats. Dylan Edwards' injury. Father and son of A.V. Johnson, A.V. Johnson's brother, I should say, and his father got in a fight. They've apologized. Hopefully everything's okay about that. Greg, please don't get excited about Kansas. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, shall we? That's the game I've got up first. Again, this is PATC Aftermath. Aftermath Week 0. Every Sunday during the year, while everybody else is watching NFL football, we are going to be doing an Aftermath live show. Now, some of these live shows might happen late Saturday night, or they might happen Monday. But the vast majority of the Aftermath shows are going to be Sunday, when most people are watching the NFL, and I'm not going to be watching the NFL. This is a college football YouTube channel. Aftermath Week 0. Now, let me pop this up a little bit better so people can actually see. Kansas, Fresno State. Now, Fresno State, the first thing that pops out is they were shut out in the second half. Shut out. E.J. Warner, he's a tough kid. He made some throws in that first half that kept Fresno State in the game, at least early on, under pressure. Fresno State couldn't get much on the ground. 29 carries, 37 yards. The Kansas Jayhawks won on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And that nose tackle for the Jayhawks was causing all sorts of problems. Really, nobody did much. Freeman, 3 receptions for 43 yards. Not a whole lot of action from Fresno State. Scored a quick touchdown, second drive of the game. Got shut out the rest of the way. Jalon Daniels, 18 for 20. 176 yards. 176 yards. Hold on here. I don't know what happened on this. Hold on. Fresno State, 176 yards, 3 TDs, 0 interceptions. Now that's the game. First game of the season, 18 for 20. Jalon Daniels did not show any hesitation. He's in a stadium. I know he's a 6-year senior. I know he's played a lot of ball. renovated stadium, all eyes on Kansas. The place is packed. The place is loud. And Jalon Daniels plays as smooth as can be. 18 of 20. And then he ran for 47 yards, but, he only ran, he did not, he took his spots, he took his shots. Incredibly efficient. Buying time in the pocket, running out when he needed to. He didn't run out of there too early. Let his receivers have time to get separation. Deshaun Williams with a really impressive touchdown run. 6 carries for 57 yards. High Shaw, RB1. He looked pretty damn good. They really could have given High Shaw a little bit more action. He probably would have gotten over 100 yards with a 5 yards per carry. But why do it? Keep everybody fresh. Cam Pickett, 2 touchdowns. He had a great game. Emmanuel Henderson, again, he looked... There was that one play where they held him. Emmanuel Henderson had his guy beat. It would have probably been a long reception. Could have been a long touchdown pass. He's fast as hell out there. He's going to cause a lot of problems. He's going to stretch the field for Kansas. Jalon Daniels keeps the linebackers in close. Emmanuel Henderson keeps the safeties back. That's a really good combination. I don't know. It's pretty impressive, guys. Pretty impressive. In this defensive line, Tommy Dunn, Blake Hurled, Keenan Caldwell was all over the place, pushing everybody. An impressive game, an impressive victory by Leipold. Game 1 right out of the bat. Highshaw was on a leash. He's ready to go. Yeah. The KU penalties, the holding, is about the only drawback. Zabrowski, the offensive coordinator, so that's the Kansas game. Kansas Jayhawks were the most impressive team of the week. However, the biggest win of week 0 goes to the Iowa State Cyclones, because guess what? They're 1-0 in the Big 12. It was at times it was a little sketchy. It was a little Rocco Becht, 14 of 28, 183, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But there was too much pressure on Rocco. The pressure came early and often. The Cyclones' pass protection, I should say. The Cyclones' pass protection had problems with the Kansas State Wildcats. This is the most perplexing points of the game for me. One on both sides. Carson Hansen, 16 carries, 71 yards. If you were watching this game with us at our watch party, and thanks to all who joined us, it was a lot of fun yesterday. I kept screaming in the microphone, why is Carson Hansen not in the game? He started out 6 carries for 12 yards, but I don't think it was a Carson Hansen issue. The Cyclones' offensive line was getting dominated in that first half. Abu Sama was getting the carries. I don't think Abu Sama can run in a sloppy track. He doesn't seem to be that type of running back. They were starting to give the ball to Hansen in the second half, and he started rocking and rolling. That's when things started loosening up for the Cyclones. That's how they won the game. On the other side of the fence, and we'll get to Kansas State, they finally took shots downfield. And it worked. They waited way too long. I kept screaming in the first half, they've got to take shots downfield because the Cyclones were not on their heels. They were on their toes. They were going closer and closer and closer to the line. Their safeties were running up. Then finally, A.V. Johnson, 273 yards because he got Jace Brown on a long touchdown. Bradley on a touchdown. Oakley got loose. Jaron Tibbs got a little loose. Finally, they should have opened it up earlier in the game. I don't know if they were nervous about the wet ball or and A.V. Johnson's throwing motion has not improved in my opinion. But they caught the Cyclones with those long passing plays. It should have started earlier, in my opinion. Let me know in the chat room. Let me know with your phone calls. We're going to open up the phone lines. We can talk about these games and the games that are going to be happening in week 1. So Iowa State not feeding the ball to Carson Hansen until midway through the second half. That was perplexing. And Kansas State not taking any shots downfield until they had to, and it worked. Carson Hansen, Iowa State, 16 carries, 71 yards. Abu Sama, 14 of 43. Again, we talked about the receiver, the wide receiver room. Not as. We're going to have to see what happens there because Benjamin Brahmer, Burkle are the main targets for Iowa State. The number 9, he got free a little bit on a big touchdown pass. Number 11, Mr. Orby, got a couple plays on him. 2 receptions, 29 yards. Eli Green got a couple catches. But mainly it's going to be an offense. The targets are going to be the tight ends for the Iowa State Cyclones. Now, Kansas State, Jace Brown, they finally got him in the game late. He did have a big run early in the first half. Jerron Bradley, again, a couple of drop balls by Jerron Bradley. Bradley dropped a couple of balls. One was a third down. I think it was a third down. I don't think it was a fourth down play. Jaron Tibbs, I think he had a drop. Garrett Oakley finally got freed a little bit. Kansas State outgained Iowa State. Both teams had a couple of turnovers in the first half. The architect, Greg, the Wildcats should have dripped in more quarterback run. Avery is too inconsistent throwing the football. He is. We talked about that. He looked good on those long passing plays in the second half. He probably should have ran a little bit more. And I'm burying the lead. My bad. I'm burying the lead. Kansas State lost their best, in my opinion, offensive weapon, returning a punt. He sprained his ankle, Dylan Edwards. I got a couple of questions on that. Number 1. Is Chris Kleiman and Kansas State, should they be having Dylan Edwards on the punt return team? I know he's an explosive player. But at this point, do you have Dylan Edwards as your punt returner? Okay, let's say you do have him as your punt returner. Do you have him returning all the punts? Do you have Dylan Edwards returning the punts when you're backed up? And then third question, why isn't Dylan Edwards fair catching that football? It's sloppy, it's wet out there. You're catching it. You got your heels on the 10-yard line. You have to go back a couple of yards. The rule of thumb is that you call the fair catch. So that's my, so I've got to, Kansas State Wildcats special teams did not look good throughout the game. Tough conditions. Both teams had to play in it. Tough game. Rocco Becht. We've talked about Rocco Becht. He's got a pretty good, decent, high floor. I don't think his ceiling goes anywhere close to Sam Levitt or Navy Johnson or Jalon Daniels. I could go on and on and on, but he's got a pretty good high floor. And I think we saw that yesterday. I think we saw him really tough it out. He made plays with his feet. He helped out his offensive line. A lot of quarterbacks in that game, a lot of quarterbacks would have been buried by Kansas State. Kansas, the Jayhawks dominated both sides of the line of scrimmage during their game against Fresno State. This Kansas State, Iowa State, it was not won on the line of scrimmage. Iowa State did not have the advantage. They had the advantage of Rocco Becht making enough plays under pressure and Kansas State making a couple more mistakes, and then Iowa State finally got that running game going in the second half. Close game, good battle. I would not give up on the Wildcats. But again, Dylan Edwards. What is his injury? Is it a twisted ankle, or is it a tendon, or exactly what is it? And then one more game we'll go through, and then we'll go through your comments, and we'll take your phone calls. Again, the aftermath, week 0. Aliado. Yes. Thank you. 27 of 39. 210 yards. That's not a whole lot of yards for 39 attempts. 2 touchdowns. 0 interceptions. He won that game on one leg. Hopefully he's not hopefully he's hurting and it's not too much of an injury. Mika Aliado, 5'7", 5'8", bringing the Rainbow Warriors back for victory. Not a whole lot of passing for Stanford. Mika Ford had a good game, and he's probably going to have a good season. He's basically Mika Ford and a couple of their tight ends, Sam Roush. They are the players on this team. Mika Ford and Sam Roush for Stanford. I don't know if Stanford's going to win a football game. I don't know if they're going to win a conference game. They're probably not going to win a conference game. So, now, Hawaii could not run the ball. Stanford got 177 yards, 43 carries. That's not... Hawaii gives up a lot of yards on the ground, guys. A lot of yards on the ground. So Hawaii did okay. Okay, not obviously 177. But, it was not like 7 yards per rush. It wasn't even 6 yards per rush. It wasn't even 5 yards per rush. So, receiving, Ashlock, 9 catches, 69 yards. Mr. Harris, 6 catches for 59 yards. The Hawaii Rainbows come back. Late second field goal, 20-20. They kick the field goal. They win it 23-20. And UNLV had to come back and defeat, whoops, I lost it here. UNLV had to come back and beat Idaho State 38-31. 38-31. They were down 17-14 at half. UNLV is playing 2 quarterbacks. Calandria, the transfer from Virginia. Alex Orji, the guy from Michigan. Calandria is throwing the ball. Orji is running the ball. So is Calandria. Calandria had a pretty good game. And that is what was the decider for UNLV, 38-31. Dan Mullen. Now, Dan Mullen has been spending a lot of time in the booth, in the broadcast booth. Maybe Dan Mullen is a little rusty, getting his team ready, whatever, but UNLV escaped with a 38-31 win over Idaho State. And Idaho State was one of the worst FCS programs last year. They couldn't stop the running game at all. They did pretty good against UNLV. Did pretty good against UNLV. Okay. Hold on here. Give me a moment. Let me get caught up. We are going to go to our open lines here. Anybody can call in anything college football. We're focusing on week 0 games and at week 1, but you can talk about anything because when you make the phone call, the floor is yours. The floor is yours. Jacoba Cat. Greg goes all in on Iowa State. The Cyclone fan returns to trolling Campbell after a devastating loss to Arkansas State, like their 7-10 defeat against the 2023 Ohio Bobcats. Wow. No. First of all, I'm not all in on Iowa State. I was last year. I had them coming in 3rd place, and they ended up coming in 2nd place, but not this year. And the reason I do not have them going challenging for the Big 12 championship is because I don't know if they have enough offensive weapons, offensive juice. I respect Carson Hansen. I respect Brahmer and Burkle. I respect Rocco Beck. But is that enough? Is that enough to get Iowa State into the number 1 spot, into the number 2 spot? Now again, they just beat Kansas State, and I had Iowa State finishing behind Kansas State. So I'm not all in on Iowa State, but they deserved that victory yesterday. They did, and they got a shot to show us more. Are they going to lose to Arkansas State? Are they? They better not. They're going to have close games, guys. Right? They're going to have close games throughout the year. That's just the way it is. They're not going to blow a whole lot of people out. The Iowa State-Iowa game. Did this change anybody's opinion on what is going to happen in the Cyhawk game? Do you give the Cyclones a little bit more respect after what they did in Dublin, Ireland? Is the majority of the PATC Einsteins going to take Iowa State over Iowa when we make those picks? John Till, super chat. Nobody cried when Reggie Bush did it all. It happens. It happens. John Till, I think this had to do with me talking about Dylan Edwards doing a punt return, getting injured. And that's a very good point. When you have a great football player, you want to have him play. Look what the Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to be doing. They're going to have Corey Perch playing safety, playing wide receiver, playing wildcat quarterback. He's going to be returning kickoffs. It sounds like they're not going to have him returning punts. So I get it. Reggie Bush, when you have a superstar, that these games, most of them are so close, right? They're on the knife's edge. So you got to get your best players to football. So you make a very good point, John Till. Very good point. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity helping us keep the lights on. Thank you, John Till. See, John, little good news. Kansas State, Iowa State athletic directors in your mark are socializing, keeping the rivalry game going uninterrupted. All right, if you got that, if anybody got that news, please send me a link on my X account at Plug Empire. I would love reading that. Again, it is scheduled that Iowa State and Kansas State will not be playing each other in 2027. Okay. Rock and Rant is in the house. Let's not get overexcited about the Mountain West beating the 17th place team in the ACC. I don't even know if Stanford will be favored in one game. Oh, we got to get excited about the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. We got to get excited about Hawaii. Especially when they kept me from going 0-3, Rock and Rant. We got to get excited about Hawaii. I don't think anyone is taking that game. They better not be taking that game and somehow judging the rest of the ACC. But that happens. I mean, the first quarter of the Indiana-Notre Dame playoff game, and everybody thought Indiana was the worst team they've ever seen, and so I get it. No, we did not discuss the Stanford targeting call, but I'm going to open up the phone lines. Anybody can talk about anything they want here. I'm just going through the comments. I don't think Avery Johnson is terrible. I don't think Avery Johnson is terrible at all. I think he's pretty good. His throwing motion, though, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be consistent unless he changes that thing up, but he had some really good downfield throws in that second half when Kansas State finally opened it up. Bill G, I don't think the loss was Avery Johnson's fault. Play calling was very suspect. Avery reminds me of a less polished Dylan Raiola. Needs to work on his passing game. I won't compare... Dylan Raiola's arm is elite. Dylan Raiola cannot move around like Avery Johnson. Dylan Raiola's only issue last year is he needed to play. He played. We are going to witness the real Raiola come Thursday night against the Cincinnati Bearcats. I hope the Bearcats are ready to play, because Dylan Raiola is going to shine, in my strongly held opinion. So buckle up, everybody. Dylan Raiola, Nebraska Cornhuskers. I think he is ready to shine. Raiola's overrated. Of course, the Georgia Bulldog says Raiola is overrated. Raiola he's going to have, watch Thursday night. Super Chat, Jacobra Cat, Hawkeye Corn is better. Iowa State corn is Halloween candy. My goodness. Jacobra Cat is throwing a lot of elbows early here. He's getting ready. He's getting ready for Cyhawk game. Greg the Cold just doomed Raiola. Raiola just received the curse of the cooler. You got Thursday night, double watch party. My beloved Golden Gophers against the Buffalo Bulls. And then we'll go into the Nebraska game. Gophers begin at 8 o'clock Eastern. Nebraska Cincinnati begins at 9 o'clock Eastern. We're going to be following both games. So Dylan Raiola, you're going to see the real Dylan Raiola Thursday night. Huskers Magic. Nebraska's O-line is much stronger this season. Absolutely. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Emmett Johnson. I'm hoping for the Cornhuskers that redshirt freshman running back, I forget his name, I hope he's got a lot of juice, it looks like, that he will emerge this season for the Cornhuskers. Greg making his picks with liquid nitrogen ink. Vox Quindaro has an obsession with Avery Johnson's hair. I mean, one half of the comments in the chat room during the watch party yesterday was about football. The other half of the comments was Vox talking about Avery Johnson's hair. Okay, we're going to open up the phone line. Opening up the phone line here. Thanks for coming on in. I appreciate it. Sunday Aftermath Show, Week 0, PATC. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. You can talk about anything that you desire. It doesn't have to be about the Week 0 games. It doesn't have to be about the Week 1 games. It can be about anything. It can be about what beautiful uniforms my beloved Golden Gophers are going to wear for Thursday night. It can be about anything.
Call from
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter, thanks for calling. I do appreciate it so very much. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed the play-by-play yesterday.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. We do a lot of that during the season. So we pick out the biggest
enthusiasm. Games.
Go ahead.
Just give me a touchdown right now.
Touchdown! or one of these. Now that was my voice. This is the voice of Paul Allen of the Minnesota Vikings. This is how he says it. Touchdown!
You still there? I
Yeah.
think I might have lost you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
So, all right. So, yep. Well, I kind of went against you yesterday, and I lost. So I did take Stanford.
Okay.
I feel like they blew it.
Yeah.
There was that targeting call. Did you? No, I think I was watching it in a bar. Okay, and so there's lots of noise around me. So I only, but I don't know what they want the defensive players to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it. I think they took off the targeting but kept the personal foul. And there was a lot going on around me. But I'm just like, there's no call in sports, forget football, in sports as a former defensive player that irritates me more than the ambiguity and the gray area around targeting, right?
Now we're talking about, are we talking about when Mika Aliado, the Hawaii quarterback, went down and slid feet first? He
was late. He was way late on his slide. And the defensive player was already committed, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yes. When they review that, I hope they're reviewing not just like the quarterback, but the defender. When is the defender, like, if you're anticipating the quarterback running and you're a defender and you're leaving your feet as well, how do you stop yourself in mid-flight and reverse yourself when the quarterback suddenly goes down at feet first? It's just, I agree with you. I very suspect. Yeah.
It's structurally unfair.
Yes.
And I mean, what do you want the defender to do? And in that spirit, can we go back to the 5-yard face mask, please? If I'm a running back and if I stiff arm a guy right in the face mask and if I jerk his helmet off, that's okay. That's good football. But but if I'm a linebacker and I just glance at the guy's face mask, 15 yards, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that needs to be cleaned up too.
Yeah.
So there's just a couple of rule issues. I saw your program earlier today, your short one about the about the matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to make. I mean, it's still essentially preseason. I'm not sure what to make of preseason power rankings, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, nobody's played it down. How do we have a power ranking?
Yeah. Yeah, it's heavily influenced by recruiting rankings and who's coming back and all that. And again, it's okay. I don't mind them. It gives us something to look at, talk about, even though they really never give us the full metrics, the full data on it. My problem is they use this, Mr. Hooter. They use this for their playoff selection rankings. This is one of the metrics that they use, and I'm getting kind of wary of all this stuff. I don't know.
Well, I see what you're saying. If it's already baked in that most of the SEC schools are in the top 12 or whatever, top 15 or whatever. And I had this conversation with a buddy last night, right after we were discussing the targeting, and then we started talking about this and whatnot. I said, so here's the deal: if Bama is competitive but loses to LSU, it doesn't count against them. But if they, right now,
yes.
So you can go 0-8 in SEC play, and none of it counts against you, right?
Yes, it's the losses are more valuable and the wins are more valuable, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's right. The wins count and the losses don't hurt you.
Yeah.
So it is an issue. I'm curious to see how they stick handle that going forward.
Yeah.
I am thrilled the SEC finally went to 9 games.
Yeah.
I do think they were kind of just waiting for the right moment. I'm very curious how these 3 permanent opponents, how that all plays out.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Bama, Tennessee, LSU, Auburn. There's no chance they're going to go for that.
Yeah. That's true.
Right.
Yeah,
so
Alabama.
Yeah. You know, so it's going to, I'm curious how they're going to tier that. You know, I guess there's a high upper tier and a middle tier and a lower tier, and everybody gets a permanent from each one, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some, when they figure that out, I don't think it's going to go real smooth. I think there's going to be some real politicking going on. We'll see how it plays out. I think Alabama is probably going to change what has been guessed by Ross Dellinger and others, because that's a pretty hard slate.
It is a hard slate, right? Yeah. And not that I'm not poor pity party for Bama, right? I mean, I'm not that guy, but I mean that's a tough draw for him, right?
Yeah.
You know, so and why does a permanent opponent mean forever a permanent? I mean, maybe it's a 5 years and then we shuffle it up, right, or something. So well, maybe permanent is.
Yeah, they may.
Right? Maybe fixed is the word, and we can refix it later, right? Yeah. Rather than permanent, right?
Now, what's interesting, the big difference between the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12, like the Big 12 barely has any permanent rivals, right? The Big Ten has a bunch of rivals, but they're not all the same number, right? Some teams have one rival, some teams have two, some teams have 3 permanent rivals. Penn State has 0. The SEC is making it where every team has 3 permanent rival games. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, of course, the Big Ten has 18 teams and not 16 teams. So the 3-6 really works perfect with a 16-team.
Yeah, it does.
League.
I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but yes, for now it works. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and I don't really understand how the Big Ten does it, but I assume one of the reasons is they have 18 and not 16, and another reason is they got 4 all the way on the West Coast. You know.
Yeah. But they actually made a decision, a conscious decision, that they wanted their permanent rival games to actually be like games that are truly rival. So it was going to be flex. Some teams were going to have more rival games than others. That's just how they finally all got together and said, okay, instead of forcing a round peg into a square hole, we are going to, it just depends on, like, so Penn State doesn't have any rival games. Iowa has, I think, 3. And so there's different numbers throughout the conference.
Penn State doesn't have any.
Yeah, Penn State don't have any.
Okay, so they just rotate around the.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's kind of interesting. Huh? Yeah. And so what's the most? Is 3 the most?
I think Iowa is Iowa the most, guys. They have 3. They would have Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nebraska. I think they have 3. Yeah.
Wow. Well, hey, see, you just taught me something. There you go.
So
okay, well, I just want to say I enjoyed yesterday, and those are my thoughts.
You got it, buddy. And, Christopher, call again, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, talk to you, Greg. See you.
Beautiful.
Bye.
Beautiful call. Excellent. Now, Minnesota has 2 permanent rivals, Wisconsin and Iowa. All teams should have 0 permanent rivals. Jason Spangler, no way. There's no way they're going to not have Minnesota and Wisconsin play each other. No way. That game has to be played. You got to have some permanent rivals. I don't know, Grayson Ganoush. Iowa and Nebraska hate each other. They hate each other. It's gotten pretty bad. Now Iowa and Minnesota hate each other. So, we got to give Andrew Luck plenty of time. Frank Reich is an interim head coach, and an interim head coach has got so many things going against him in that locker room, recruiting. So hopefully Mr. Luck has plenty of time to hire the right coach. I'm glad Minnesota's not a permanent rival against Nebraska. One of the things that $5 broken chair trophy, there's a lot of charity money involved in that. So hopefully people get active before that Nebraska and Minnesota, and we'll talk about more of that when it comes. That's the one, Minnesota loves Nebraska because Nebraska comes in and buy tickets. Now, Nebraska doesn't need Minnesota to come to Lincoln to buy tickets. But Minnesota loves Nebraska, the huge, incredible fan base. So I think Minnesota would be more apt to have that permanent rivalry. And Nebraska's like, Ohio State and Illinois finally renew their trophy this year? Absolutely. 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 And Illinois is pretty good this year. Yeah, Illinois, Indiana, man. At that Illinois-Indiana game, holy smokes. Holy smokes. That's going to be super important. Jacoba Cat, Super Chat. Michigan State should be an Iowa rival too. Really? You really feel that rivalry with the Spartans, Jacoba Cat? What are the Spartans' rivals? They're Michigan and who else? Is it just Michigan? Now, before we did this permanent rival stuff, when we were in divisions, Michigan State and Penn State usually were the hookup at the end of the season. But it's not really a rival. Grayson Ganoush, Michigan State is a bigger rival for the Hawkeyes than the Huskers. Really? I thought you... All right. David Valinsky, Michigan State rivals, in my opinion, are Michigan and Indiana. Super Chat. Jacoba Cat. Iowa doesn't hate Minnesota. Iowa barely remembers them. Oh, really? Is that why every single month, I got a Hawkeye telling me that it was not an illegal hand signal and that Iowa should have beaten the Minnesota Golden Gophers? For those who don't know, when the Gopher fan base is leaving the football stadium, and it doesn't even have to be a game against Iowa. It most of the time isn't. If they played, okay, let me give you an example. After the Minnesota Buffalo Bulls game on Thursday night, when the fans are leaving the stadium, you are going to be hearing a chant, an echoing throughout the halls of Huntington Bank Stadium, and it's going to be, "Who hates Iowa? We hate Iowa. Who hates Iowa? We hate Iowa." Over and over and over and over and over until everybody gets in their cars and buses and trains and leaves the stadium. That's how much the Gophers hate the Hawkeyes. Thank you, Jacoba Cat. Thank you for the $2 holla. I appreciate it. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. It wasn't an illegal hand signal. It definitely was. It's a simple rule. In the Big Ten office, minutes after the game said the refs called it right. The Big Ten Network said it's absolutely correct. When you are a punt returner, you cannot have any arm, you cannot be swinging your arms in an unnatural running motion and advance the ball. You can point to the ball. You can point and still advance it once you get it. But you can't be doing this when you're running, pointing and going like this, and advance the ball. It was an easy call. Victory, Gophers. Victory, Gophers. The Gophers hate in all directions. Yes, Vox, we do. We absolutely do. And you know why that is? Do you know why that is, Vox? Because of the new term that we are trying to make official. It's called loserdom. It's what happens when you lose so many games, so many years, so much heartbreak. You start to hate everybody. BYU football. Iowa State is going to beat Iowa this year, guaranteed. Ooh. Georgia loves everyone. You don't love everyone. You're just saying that because your wife is watching this. Wendy. Georgia doesn't love everyone. There's no way that Georgia loves everyone. No way. Super chat. Minnesota propaganda, it's an illness. Minnesota propaganda is a way of life. That's what it is. Stephen McNeely, thank you for the super chat. Jacoba Cat, thank you for the $2 holla. Thank you for your generosity helping us keep the lights on. I appreciate it, Mr. Hot Guy. Appreciate it. Nebraska should be playing Oklahoma and Colorado every year. Jason, was a great win for Iowa State yesterday. Only team that will be able to challenge Kansas for the Big 12 title. Wow, Jason.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Don Scruggs. God bless their hearts. Again, the phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. Let me check if there's any breaking news. College football. Tomorrow, again, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications so you know when we're coming on live. We can come on live at any time. You guys and gals know this. We can come in the morning, in the new time, late at night to cover breaking news, cover everything in college football. Make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications and smash the like button. Tomorrow, we're going to be starting to talk about the week 1 games. We're going to be analyzing it. We are going to be making our predictions, our selections against the spread on Tuesday, August 26th. Getting ready for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games in week 1 of college football. So buckle up, brace for impact. Next week is going to be a very, very busy week. This is Aftermath Week 0. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. Tough Tony. Vikings picked up a journeyman quarterback. What do you think, Greg? The only thing I'm concerned about, Tough Tony, the only thing I'm concerned about is Max Brosmere. Tough Tony, is Max Brosmere going to make the Vikings squad as the third string quarterback? I think he will. I think he's on the cusp. He has played very good in preseason football for the Vikings. And Tough Tony, that's important. It's very important. Very important that Max Brosmere gets on an NFL squad because it's going to help the recruiting. PJ Fleck, when the Gophers were finally able to get offensive linemen drafted in the NFL, nobody could no longer negative recruit against the Gophers on that position. Same thing has been happening in the quarterback position. Max Brosmere has got to get that spot, Tony, for not for the Vikings, but for our beloved Golden Gophers.
All from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant is on the line. The floor is yours. How you doing, sir? How was week 0 for you?
It's awesome. Where's everybody calling? Come on, guys. Like, wake up. It's not always about realignment. It's about freaking games, man. Let's get everybody's take in. It was awesome, man. I watched games all day long, though there wasn't a lot of them, but I caught Sam Houston and Western Kentucky for a while. UNLV was for some team that was very possibly a G5 AQ contender. Did not look so impressive. You know, they won and out of the game. I wonder if that game means if they have a good season, if it comes down to similar records, that, you know, that performance against Idaho State as an FCS is probably not a great thing on their resume, even with the victory, if you get down to, you know, beauty records. Kansas State, Iowa State game, that was, you know, the Farmageddon robbery. They better keep that going every year. I don't really understand the concept of, like, breaking the longest played rivalry. So hopefully that comes together. I agree with you. I don't think you can write off K-State. You got to see what happens on the running back side. But Iowa State I always thought they were going to be good, but they looked better once everybody got out of the first half doldrums. They just looked better, and you can tell that Rocco's got a lot of confidence from his coach on the quarterback side. And Avery had a good game, but he didn't really step up and seize the moment, right? That would be my assessment. But I don't think you can rule out that that's over for Kansas State. I don't think you can rule out that that was still a preview of the Big 12 championship game when we get to the end of the season in Dallas.
I agree. I agree with all that. UNLV's next game against Sam Houston, saw a little bit of the Sam Houston. They kind of petered at the end of that Western Kentucky game, lost 41-24. So UNLV, they don't play next week, but the week after that, they play Sam Houston. So maybe we'll see how UNLV does against Sam Houston, and maybe that'll be a good measurement.
Yeah, it would be a better one, right? I mean, I'll be the first one to say I of course know about Idaho. I actually didn't even know like Idaho State existed. So, you know, I know it's an FCS program, but they played really well. So props to them. And Sam Houston, I believe, is breaking in a new head coach. I think their head coach went to Temple or something, if I'm not mistaken, in the offseason. And that was a good game for the first 3 quarters before Western Kentucky put it away. So we shall see what ultimately happens in that one. In Stanford, you know, like I think it's great that Hawaii won. Just to be clear, I wasn't really dogging on that, but Stanford's really bad. And you know, so it's it should be I think that's their first Power 4, Power 5 win for Hawaii in a number of years. But it is definitely the lowest of the low Power 4, Power 5 teams that they did it off of.
We do have breaking news. Breaking news. Pete Thamel, Wake Forest has named redshirt senior Robbie Ashford the starting quarterback, and he'll debut for the Demon Deacons against Kennesaw State on Friday night, the ACC network. Robbie Ashford, you know, he was he's played for South Carolina, Auburn, and Oregon. He had, you know, he was like on a 50% completion clip during his years at Auburn. But last year, he had one game at South Carolina where he was really good when Lenore Sellis could not play. And so it'd be interesting to see how Robbie Ashford does with Wake Forest. Redshirt senior.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big Lenore Sellis fan, so I think, you understand why that situation developed there. But it'll be interesting to see what he does with, brand new Wake Forest head coach coming over from the West Coast. And, I don't expect much from them the first year, but who knows? Like last year at this time, everyone had Arizona State in 15th place, right? And that was completely wrong by a lot of pundits, pro and amateur. So you never know where some magic can happen in chemistry and somebody emerges, especially in the transfer portal era. But now that week 0 is done, we are 4 days away from essentially 5 days of the best possible on paper week 1 in history. There's 3 top 10 matchups, which almost never. Sometimes don't get that in the season. You might get those 4 or 5, 6 games where it's top 25 matchups, but 3 top 10 matchups in the course of 48 hours is going to be pretty tremendous. You have fascinating games with Georgia Tech going over to Colorado, and whether everything that's been going on with the Colorado narrative, Deion's health, losing the top 2 players, whether it's what he's going to do and Brent Key and that team. I'm looking forward to that game. It's when Texas and Ohio State could mean a lot and also mean nothing when it's all said and done for the end of the season, but just giving everybody an idea of what's really going on. And of course, for me, I'm 7 days away from playing one of the 2 teams I hate. I will give grief to Florida State fans and I'll respond to trolls, but I don't loathe Florida State. I literally loathe Notre Dame and Florida. The passion I can't even begin to ride. It's been 38 years since Miami got to play both of them in the same season. They're doing that in the course of 4 weeks. Yeah. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips. Would you say fairly over, since a couple of years, obviously I'm a Miami fan, but I've taken a fair amount of shots in your view against Miami administration, coaching, what have you. Is that fair to say, other than the Cam Ward disagreement you and I had?
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, universally, from people I know who have been on campus and practice and games, the vast majority of those people say it's the best team Miami has had on paper since the end of the Coker era in the early 2000s.
Wow.
Do it. If you really want to get an idea of what's going on with them, you can check out Miami Flow later tonight. I think he has every single team creator table from your guy, Coach Coop, on to the Lock-On guys, just one channel after the other doing their take on previews. But I'm feeling way more confident about that Notre Dame game than I ever thought I would 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. The reports on Carson Beck are amazing. The young wide receivers is the question. We'll see if they come through, but the information on there is good. So I am so confident. I'm not even worried if you take them. If you take Notre Dame or you take Miami. Either way, I'm good. I'm calling it Miami. It's going to be a close game to the half. I think Miami wins by 10, and people will be surprised at how good that defense is. I still think Jeremiah Love's going to get 100 yards with everybody he decides to. So we'll just keep that minimized. But, I think we'll have a good handle on that game after the first quarter, just seeing what that interior defensive line from Miami does against that offensive line for Jeremiah and Carson Beck and get a couple of passes in against Notre Dame's excellent secondary.
Yeah. It's I don't know what I'm going to do with that game. I got both teams in the playoffs, so whoever loses, I got them going to the playoffs. Notre Dame's got a lot of dudes, man. So I don't know. It's going to be a hell of a football game. We're going to be doing a watch party on it, of course. So
what do you think of Notre Dame, Greg, in terms of? I think that they can't lose 2 games this year because their back half of their schedule was so soft. They have Miami for sure. They got Texas A&M game. They got Boise State. Maybe USC is better than people think. I know some people have them a lot higher. But that's, no disrespect to anybody else, but that's their main thing. If they lose 2 games on their schedule, even though they're Notre Dame, is the rest of their strength of schedule going to be well good enough for them to get into the college football playoff? And to be clear, I also have them in my playoffs. So I'm not just doing it to hate. I actually think that they probably will make it because I don't think they're going to lose 2 games ultimately. But what is your take?
Of course, I'm looking at this schedule right now. Of course, it's going to depend on what happens around them, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard, but Miami, Texas A&M, at Arkansas, I guess they'll probably get a little credit for that. Boise State, NC State, USC. Yeah, I think there's probably enough juice there for them to go 10-2 and make the playoffs, depending on how they look. I think, I think they're I think they're very good this year. I love their running game. Of course, I love their running game. I love their defense. I love that sophomore cornerback, number 15. I don't know if Carson Beck, stay away from 15. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think Miami's line of scrimmage is fantastic. I think it's two of the best top 12 teams in the country, regardless of what happens in game one.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually think the game that might have been the most exciting, often out of a bunch of them, might be that Clemson LSU game. Mm-hmm. That's the one where, I have Clemson going all the way, so I expect that they're going to win, but I'm super interested to see what happens when you have Garrett Nussmeier going in against Cade Klubnik in the Battle of Death Valley.
Yeah.
There's so many great choices, but that's the one I think I'm the most intrigued by, besides my own personal fan rooting interest. So.
Yeah.
You better be on every day. Hopefully you and the family are doing good, and thanks for doing the show, man.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Beautiful call. Thanks for the call, Rockin', man. So we got Miami, Notre Dame, right? Big game. Big game. I just happen to think the loser's going to make the playoffs. The Buckeyes and the Longhorns. Big game. I happen to think the loser's still going to make the playoffs. For me, it doesn't decline. It doesn't take away the value of these football games. Even though, because we have a bigger playoffs and both teams can still make them. I don't look at. I still think it's as big a game if it was a 4-team playoffs. Because the loser, now we're going to be able to see if they can respond and not get 3 losses on their schedule during the season. But I think the Buckeyes and the Longhorns, the Hurricanes and the Irish, I think they all can make the playoffs if they lose. I think they are going to make the playoffs if they lose. The one team that I'm nervous about, if they lose, and I still have them going, if they lose week 1, I still have them going to the playoffs. The one team that I'm worried about is the LSU Tigers. The LSU Tigers. Because if they lose to Clemson, and if they lose big, that whole thing might collapse. That whole thing might collapse. Because I think Brian Kelly's going to lose it. Lose it if LSU gets stomped by the Clemson Tigers. That's the one team. I'm not worried about Clemson. I'm not worried about Notre Dame. I'm not worried about... I think they all can make the playoffs if they lose. I'm not worried about the Buckeyes. I'm not worried about the Texas Longhorns. If the Buckeyes win by 20, I think the Longhorns are going to regroup. Arch Manning got his feet wet. He'll get better. If the Buckeyes lose, they've been there. They've done that. Julian Sayin got his feet wet. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. If Miami loses, they've lost to, I think, a really damn good football team. If Notre Dame loses, they lost to Carson Beck in Miami's offense and improvement. But if LSU gets beat bad, once again to start the season, if they get beat bad, I'm going to worry about LSU. I'm going to worry about them. I don't know. They can lose. I got them losing that game and going to the playoffs. But if they lose in a way that says that LSU, we talked about the SEC last year. For whatever reason, the physical running game disappeared in a lot of those programs. Georgia, take a look at the stats. Georgia could not run the ball like they've been able to do for years. Give the rock to Nate Frazier, but they were not able to run the ball. Ole Miss was not able to get 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 conversions. They were soft. SAWFT, soft on offense. Not on defense, but on offense. The Ole Miss Rebels were soft. Well, the LSU Tigers were soft. Sorry, not sorry. The LSU Tigers offense last year running the ball was soft. They're going to be, look, Nussmeier's going to throw the ball all over the place. They're going to be able to score points. The defense better get better. But the running game is got, they had some injuries in the running back room. They've got to be able to run the ball. There are some teams in the SEC that I have ranked lower that I know that they're going to be able to run the ball. I like Florida's running game this year, for one example. LSU, they've got to be able to run the ball better. That's one big thing I'm going to be. Clemson's got to defend the run a lot better, but LSU's got to run it better. Georgia's got to run it better. Clemson's going to throttle LSU. CJ Carr, big question mark, but man, he can throw the football. He's got an arm. We'll see if he's got the other intangibles. He can process the field. He's a new quarterback. He's got the arm, but he's a new quarterback. Florida's not good, but they're going to have a good running game. Florida's going to have a good running game, I think. Let's see here. Jacoby Cat going back in time. It's emasculating. It's emasculating when visiting fans take goalposts. He's talking about the Iowa Hawkeyes going into the Metrodome, kicking the bleep out of the Golden Gophers and taking the goalpost. But that ain't going to happen anymore, Jacoby Cat. That ain't going to happen anymore. Thank you for the $2 holler. If they took my goalpost, I'd hate them too. So sad. Hawkeye, get your shots in now. Get your shots in now because the Golden Gophers are going to be going to Iowa City and Mark Gronowski is going to get pummeled. Pummeled. Thank you for the $2 holla. Jacoby Cat, I appreciate your generosity. Florida State's win-loss prediction. Well, I've got them just basically in the middle of the ACC. I've got them at number 8. I got them at number 8, so I don't know, 8-4, 7-5. I love Tony White. I think the Seminole fans are going to see remarkable defensive effort. I think you're going to see the Seminoles confuse people with the 3-3-5 defense. Tony White, I've watched Tony White. I saw what he did at Syracuse. I saw what he did at Nebraska. It's the Florida State's offense that I'm going to have to, they're going to have to, you know, Thomas Castellanos, a guy who's got a decent floor, but not the highest ceiling. We shall see. We shall see. Okay, so I think that ends our PATC Aftermath Week 0 live show. We are going to be doing this on every Sunday or late Saturday night, but we're going to be doing an aftermath show talking about all the games that were played during the weekend, during Saturday, during Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This has been our Aftermath Week 0 show. I do appreciate you all joining us today. Thank you so very much. It's August 24th. We are what? 4 days away. 4 days away from an incredible 5 days of football. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, college football. And we are going to be covering it all here at Peek Around the Corner. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, smash the like button if you like our content, and turn on those notifications. We're going to be coming on live tomorrow. We are going to be covering all the breaking news. We sometimes create the breaking news at PATC. So make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications. Buckle up, brace for impact. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about week 1 games. Tuesday we're going to be making our picks. Greg the Gold did not show up. He did not make an appearance on the Aftermath show. But next week's Aftermath show, Greg the Gold is going to be here in front of the camera. And I'm going to tell you all that I'm no longer going to lose. I'm no longer going to be stuck in loserdom. I'm no longer going to be the re-elected mayor of Loserville City. Ain't going to happen. It can't happen. It will no longer happen. Greg the Gold will be here next Sunday. So make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications. Thanks, Vox. I appreciate it. Thank you, Architect. Thanks, everybody, for coming on in. I appreciate it. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.